welcome to the show. I'm Erin Crowley.
And I'm Brian Curley. We start today's show with a story from September.
Miss Bustler's class was learning anatomy by dissecting rodents. Taylor Reed and Casey McDonald report.
Mrs. Bustler's senior anatomy students did their first lab in class last week.
I've never seen the inside of a rat, so, it's always a first.
When the students got their rats, it was time to get cutting. For many of the students, it was their first time doing a dissection.
Like cutting through the bones and stuff was really gross because it was like crunchy and it was really nasty.
Sometimes, students can struggle with the idea of cutting open a dead animal.
Most kids, even the ones that say they don't want to do it, by the time we finish with the rat, they like dissections. They jump right in.
Some students really bonded with their rat.
His name's Leo. Yeah, he was a good guy. Lived a nice long life, but he gave his life for science, which is his passion.
While the experiment was designed to be a learning experience, kids in the class had their own opinions.
Yeah, I had fun. I mean, it was a little gross, but it was a different experience, so,
It was fun. It was a good time.
It was interesting, yeah.
It had its ups and downs, kind of gross, but pretty good experience.
I mean, personally, I didn't have a lot of fun because I was kind of like, with the whole rat thing, but watching it was fine, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Some were even grossed out by what they saw.
yeah, I felt sick a little, but I got over it. Feel a little better now.
I didn't know what to expect because it was just like you opened it and it was like, whoa. But then it was just like an experiment, so it was fine.
Thanks to the rat dissection, everyone left with a new understanding of basic anatomy.
Thanks, girls. Biology and anatomy aren't the only sciences going on in NHS.
Recently, seniors from Mrs. Flaherty's zoology class were helping to raise an endangered species. Catherine King, Kelly Erker, and Meg Norton bring us the story.
Miss Flaherty's zoology class is helping the New England environment by raising an endangered species.
So this is one of the red-bellied cooter turtles. They're an endangered species in New England. They're the only endangered species of aquatic turtle in Massachusetts.
We weigh them, measure them to make sure they're growing right and healthy and stuff. You still get to pick them up and you can see their different personalities.
And zoology students like Liz Kearns take on all the responsibilities of raising them.
We always get all the most of the water out of the tank so that we can clean it and get all their poop out. And we clean the filters, we weigh and measure them. We have to check the pH levels in the water to make sure that they're going to be okay.
They actually give up 2 of their studies to come and care for the turtles, and then they kind of document that in their science notebook.
The turtle hatchlings came from a Head Start program organized by the Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game. Their goal is to increase the population of the red-bellied cooter by hand raising them and then reintroducing them back into their environment for breeding.
We got them in September, and then the wildlife, the program that we got it through, they're going to release them into a pond in May.
And they've been able to swim in the tank that they live in and get sun from the light that we have. They've grown to be a pretty good size.
It's a passion for environmental science that motivates Flaherty students to take on projects like raising an endangered species.
It's kind of fun to work with turtles because they're real living animals and everything. Well, I'm very interested in science, so it would help getting to college and stuff, and marine biology is something I'm considering.
In May, Flaherty and her zoology class will participate in a regional release party where all the red-bellied cooters will be reintroduced into their natural habitat.
The Mass Fish and Wildlife people will measure all of the turtles, so there'll be I think probably 120 that will go back to the environment. They measure them, they actually put a microchip in them, and then they release them into the ponds.
Flaherty hopes that projects like the red-bellied cooters help students make connections between science and the world around them. It's also a way for students to give back to the environment.
So It's nice to kind of help an endangered species because you can't help all of them, but this is something small that we can do in this school.
Advanced science students who are interested in being a part of next year's zoology class should apply soon. The selection is limited. Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Catherine King.
We're proud to report that the red-bellied cooters were released back into their natural habitat in May, and the zoology class is looking forward to next year's hatchlings.
Next up, we remember firefighter Faye and everything she contributed to the Norwood community. Kristen and Brittany Folan report.
Out! 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 Everybody out! I can't go.
Firefighter Faye was a member of the Norwood Fire Department. The most important thing she did was hatch the Safe Education program.
She did many things, but if I was to prioritize and to visit some of the most important things that she did was she was our Safe Education Officer, which is a program that's put on through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to deliver the message of fire safety to the children K through 5 in the school system. She really had an ability to connect to the young people in this town.
Definitely trying on all the equipment that she had to wear during the fires. It was really big and fun, but that was probably my favorite.
Firefighter Faye faced the challenge of entering into a man's world, but that was no problem for her.
She was accepted immediately and impacted this fire department from the day she came in October of '84 to the day that she retired.
Because of the many things she did for the community of Norwood, Firefighter Faye will never be forgotten.
You can't go anywhere around town without somebody who knew Firefighter Faye, and pretty much a couple of generations of Norwood High School students grew up with Firefighter Faye. They learned their stop, drop, and roll and their escape routes, and she really was very impressive on the fire ground as well.
You knew that Faye, when she came in, was committed to the job on that day, on that particular shift. She did a terrific job, and she was great at what she did.
But unfortunately, her hard work came to an end when she passed away last September. Even though she is no longer with us, she left a lasting impact on the community.
She always was really happy and I don't know, she was always she influenced me to always have a smile on my face. And
we're going to miss her tremendously. She was a sparkle, she was a guiding light, but her legacy will always live on through that education program.
She was an outstanding firefighter, and I know her heart was in the schools, and it really made her feel good to teach you kids something. And that's something I can always look back on and be very proud.
For Mustang Magazine, I'm Kristen Folan.
Thanks, girls. Now it's time to change things up. Let's go back to April for a story involving the NHS basketball team.
Brian King takes us to the gym for an unforgettable game and fundraiser.
We're so happy that Tim Goodwin's been here with us tonight.
NHS basketball players and faculty held a fundraiser during the varsity basketball game against Dedham last month. The goal was to raise money for former player Tim Goodwin, who was suffering from a rare form of epilepsy. People put raffle tickets into different bags, which were set up on tables near the concession stand.
Everything's going to Goodwin's Goals, which all that money goes to the Goodwin family for Tim's medical care. We'd love to raise just a couple $1,000s, as much as we can, to help the family pay for some of the medical costs. We've asked all the basketball players to sell at least 5 raffle tickets ahead of time, $5 each for the autographed Celtics ball. And we also have student council officers selling tickets as well.
The fundraiser did a lot more than just raise money. It created a memory that won't be forgotten by friends and family close to Tim.
It really means a lot to me as one of his best friends, and I know it means a lot to him as well and his family.
The coaches hope that this fundraiser raises awareness for not just Tim, but people all around the world that share his condition.
The goal is to pretty much raise the awareness of epilepsy and try and figure out a way to make it so another kid won't have to go through this again, just to raise epilepsy awareness.
There's more to basketball than just wins and losses.
It's about life, it's about the community, it's about helping other people.
I think they're excited. It's not every day they get to be a part of something like this. So everyone just wants to make this night special for Timmy and the Goodwins and for the sport of basketball.
And this night would be special for Tim. With the Mustangs down by 1 and less than 10 seconds to go, sophomore Chris Bell inbounded the ball and eventually found senior forward T.G. Ukachukwu for the buzzer beater. Wins like this give Tim Goodwin the hope he needs to defeat epilepsy. Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Brian King.
Thanks, Brian. Up next, we profile a freshman who's got a special talent.
Senior staff reporter Tessa McGuire introduces us to the Karate Kid.
Freshman Brendan Hurley has been practicing the ways of mixed martial arts for over 9 years.
It all started really at a birthday party that I went to, and I really loved it and decided to keep going with it.
Due to recent obstacles, Brendan's training has become difficult.
My knees, which I'm apparently prone to dislocating.
Because of his injuries, earning his black belt was more than just a test of his physical skills.
So mine was more of a teaching instead of physically competing for my rank. I had to know everything off the top of my head.
Now Brendan is putting that knowledge to good use as an aid for his instructors.
As of now, I'll be in a class and I'll be up in front with a sensei, which is our teacher. Really, I'll just watch them, observe them, and if they're doing anything wrong, I'll hop in and I'll fix them up, and then usually that's the group who'll get, I don't mean to brag or anything, usually that's the group that will get called out onto the floor to demonstrate the technique the next class.
And his instructor is quick to point out that Brendan is an instrumental help in teaching the kids.
He's actually at a level now where he could actually run classes, take my job. He knows enough and he's knowledgeable enough where he could be one of the best black belt instructors there are.
And for Brendan, there is more than just one benefit to teaching.
There's a few kids that when they first walk in, when I'm helping at a test, I'll see them, they're all shy and nervous like I was, and you come in the next time, they're testing for the yellow belt, and they look a little bit tougher, they look a little bit meaner, more confident, more disciplined. It's nice.
Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Tessa McGuire.
Thanks, Tessa. For this next story, I take you back to October when the Norwood Fire Department was running a mock emergency response drill. Let's check it out. Recently, the Norwood Fire Department showed their readiness for any disaster.
Victims that have been exposed to the released agent, in this case anthrax, they have come to Norwood Hospital for treatment.
The firefighters had to decontaminate the victims before they could enter the hospital. Sophomore Maura O'Neill was one of the infected.
So we had to undress and walk through the shower, and then when we got to the end we got these and we had to dry off and everything. And then some people had to go on the boards and they would be cleaned down by the firefighters.
The people on boards are the non-ambulatory people, the people that are brought in by ambulances, people that can't walk. We put them on these hard plastic boards and they slide through the whole system on rollers.
Students like Hannah Benson were cleaned down step by step in the tent by the firefighters, but they were still a little nervous about what was going to happen to them during the drill.
At first I was scared, but then felt safe in there because they knew what they were doing.
The drill took nearly 2 hours to ensure that they are prepared if this was to ever really happen.
The importance of this drill was to ensure that Norwood Hospital, Norwood Fire Department, and all other agencies involved, Norwood Police Department, know how to work together and help protect the people that are going to be coming into the hospital so that everyone can do their job.
Hopefully nothing like this drill will ever happen, but if it did, at least we know the first responders are ready. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Brian Curley.
For more stories from the fire department, be sure to watch Code Red right here on NPA-TV.
There has been much debate among students and faculty about the passing time between classes. Senior staff reporters Mackenzie Begley and Jess Murphy set out to investigate if 4 minutes is enough to get to class.
That sound means two things to the students at Norwood High School. Either you've made it to class or you're late.
I find it really difficult to get to class in 4 minutes because there's a whole bunch of people going to the stairs.
It's always, you had the 4 minutes in the hallway, but if you're trying to do anything, you don't have time to.
I never go to my locker. There's just not enough time in between classes.
Senior Dean, Mr. Garzinski, has a different opinion.
It shouldn't take a minute and a half more to go to your locker and not chat on your way. I know that's a lot of the kids do. They get caught up talking.
Administrators Mr. Garzinski and Ms. Shakoy decided to time out a route for themselves.
She went up one stairwell, I went a different way and went up another stairwell. We met at the farthest, what is it, 312, I think is the corner room, in 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes seems fair, but what if you need to go to your locker? I decided to do the same experiment, including a locker stop. I started at the boys' locker room, then went up to the second floor to make a locker stop. Then I continued up to the third floor to room 312. Our final time was 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
A lot of kids aren't using their lockers. A lot of kids are just putting all their stuff in their backpacks and taking their backpacks to classes.
However, this backpack situation is not one to be taken lightly.
The potential effects of a heavy backpack on a student can cause back pain, can cause neuroskeletal pain specifically, so they might also have joint pain along their spine.
And for students like Nikki Nguyen, carrying a heavy backpack meant also having to see a doctor.
Yeah, I had to go to physical therapy because my backpack was so heavy and I had to carry 3 textbooks at once to class.
But even if you have a heavy backpack, that doesn't necessarily mean you will get a backache.
I would recommend wearing the backpack correctly, which would mean wearing it on both shoulders, using both straps instead of the one strap, so that it's evenly distributed the weight.
Locker stop or not, teachers still expect students to be on time. Nearly 90% of teachers surveyed agree that 4 minutes is enough time.
I think that students have enough time to get to their classes. 99% of them come to class, so I think that 1% needs to just hustle and bustle.
However, there are a few that disagree.
I definitely do not think students have enough time in between classes. I think all we have to do is just look around for evidence of that. In my classes, I see students are walking around with enormous full book bags. So that leads me to believe that they don't have enough time to go, to their locker during the day.
Increasing passing time is something administration is willing to talk about.
If they really want to add that extra minute back, so what's it going to add 5 minutes to our day? So do we want to be here to 2:28 then?
So it looks like there's some room for negotiation. But as it stands right now, you have 4 minutes to get to class, or you're late. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Jess Murphy.
Next reporting. Hopefully administration is going to consider adjusting the passing time for next year.
But that wasn't the only investigative report this year. A few months ago, the Student Council voted to reinstall the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of each day. Lauren Plasko reports.
To the flag of the United States of America.
The pledge has recently made its way back to NHS after a unanimous vote by the Student Council.
That's why it's happening, and it was come as a concern from the student body.
Recently, the debate club debated if the pledge should even be said in a public school.
I think it is to show patriotism. I think it is to show that you stand for this country.
Everyone should have the knowledge that we don't have liberty and justice for all. Because there are people in the country that, say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, and they believe with everything they have that there's liberty and justice for everyone in this country. And, things don't have to be changed, like all this stuff.
The people who fought for this pledge, fought for this country, and fought for our ability to be here and debating this, would say that it's not a waste of time.
So after the debate, the pledge was included in the morning news show.
We had to make a video, and we kind of had to figure out how to get it in there without, disrupting our time. It doesn't have a lot of time onto it, but it definitely, I think, disrupts the kids in class, when they have to stand up and then they sit back down.
Even though majority of the students support saying the Pledge of Allegiance, they also respect each other's right not to say the pledge.
I think the Pledge of Allegiance should be said in public schools because it's what America strives to be and what America stands for. And I think if you don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, you have the option to not say it.
I know that kids aren't forced to do it now, but unfortunately, most kids do say it just because of the negative feedback that they get when they don't say it. That's what I kind of want to eliminate, because that should be your choice.
Regardless of whether you want to say the pledge, it's now a part of the school day. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Lauren Plasko.
Thanks, Lauren. We'd also like to add that we feel really lucky to have a principal who lets students have input on how the school is run.
Yes, we are. And speaking of principals, did you know that Mr. Yusevich is finishing up his 50th year as an educator? Here's Matt O'Malley and Abby Tierney with the story.
$100 is presented to a student who intends to...
Native Norwood resident George Yusevich is in his 50th year as an educator, something he always knew was his calling.
As I said, I think I always had it in my blood. I felt at a very early age, even in grade 9, we were asked to do a guidance project, and what do you want to be when you grow up was the title of it. And George Yusevich did, I want to be a teacher.
So after graduating college, Yusevich took his first job in education.
I taught 1 year out of Norwood. I taught in Medway 1964-65 and came to Norwood in September of 65 and haven't left. I have been teaching. I was administrative assistant for student affairs, vice principal for 7 years.
It was quite a journey for Yusevich working his way up to being principal, but he did have help along the way from a few Norwood education pioneers like Dr. Coakley. But Yusevich credits former principal and superintendent Mr. Savage with pushing him to be his best.
He was the one who really gave me the needle, and he said, you know, you've got to move, you've got to move, you've got to move, because I think he always believed in me.
George Yusevich officially became principal at Norwood High School in 1990, and he has a jar of marbles on his desk that reminds him of his first graduating class.
My first year as principal, when the kids got their diploma, when the seniors got their diploma, every senior gave me a marble. The very last student who gave me a marble gave me a note, and the note read, you've completed your first year as principal, and you haven't lost your marbles.
Yusevich has had a lot of good times as principal, but if you ask him what the best part is, he'll always tell you that he enjoys watching students grow and become successful adults.
The greatest thing is to see all that happening every single day. Kids learning, kids being polite, kids advancing in maturity, and when you get them as freshmen to the time they graduate as seniors, that's the greatest reward you have.
So when the class of 2014 graduates in June, Yusevich will have had 50 years to look back on and reflect. Some people wonder if he'll retire, but even if he did, that doesn't mean that he will stop being an educator.
I think that no matter where you are, you're always a teacher, and you should try to emulate what you talk about. You should be a role model, so I think that's part of my makeup, and it will be what I will do even in retirement.
Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Abby Tierney.
Next year will be Mr. Yusevich's last year as principal at NHS. Hopefully we can give him a year to remember.
Moving on to our next story. Winter was pretty brutal this past year, and that meant quite a few snow days.
So we decided to take advantage of the powder by sending our After Dark anchors, Robbie White and Anthony Zona, to Blue Hills for a skiing adventure.
Hello everybody, I'm Anthony Zona and we're here at Blue Hills skiing today.
Yes, and we're about to pick up our gear, and it's going to be
cold.
It's going to be an adventure. It's going to be something.
Slightly painful.
We really haven't skied much, so this is going to be an interesting sight to see.
Yeah, interesting, my meaning hilarious. Awesome.
Wish us luck.
Yes.
Anxious, nervous. I'm gonna fall and die.
God, pain in my feet. Ah! Damn it. Okay.
Is that right?
All right, let's go.
Your skis are on backwards. Careful.
You can't stand comfortably. Ooh,
Come on.
Hey, don't judge
The line for the magic carpet.
just from the second we could not control.
You gotta like make your skis go kind of go in a little bit to slow yourself down.
I thought that was the parking lot. I thought I was gonna die. Okay, good. That was great.
I was totally about to go into that little area.
Even that little kid wants to help you, man.
Friggin' workout. Holy crap.
So thank you for joining us on this Blue Hills skiing adventure.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was a bit chilly out here, but we got through the cold.
Yeah.
We've been having a good time.
Yeah, the bunny hill was great.
Yeah, and I actually ventured a little following
You did?
him, and I went up onto some of the bigger hills. I wiped out, but my spirit is intact.
There you go. So signing off from right below the bunny hill, I'm Robbie Way.
And I'm Anthony Zona for NHS-TV.
Thank you.
Now that was funny.
Clearly they had a blast making that segment, but they definitely need to work on their slope skills.
In this next story, we meet a senior who does have a lot of musical skill. Senior staff reporter Megan Henneberry catches up with the underground musician Mike Scavato.
I took lessons up for about 2 months, and then I quit, and then I just taught myself from there.
Senior Mike Scavato is an underground musician, but not in the way you think.
Favorite place to practice is probably down here, because no one's really around. I can just blast the music however loud I want to and practice whenever I need to.
In Mike's basement is the place to jam. Maddie Tribuna agrees.
If it wasn't for this basement, I probably wouldn't play music as much as I do. I did a recording earlier today where I mixed like 2 songs together, which I can do because his recording equipment lets me like layer songs.
And when you're making music, it's key to have the right gear.
Over here we have where all the electronics are, my mixer board and my laptop, along with a bass and some other like tweeter speakers. Over here we have my piano along with the mics and my guitars, and there's some more guitars in the cases and some distortion pedals.
A lot of the equipment down here is like good to use. I mainly use his microphone and his recording supplies because, like I said, I don't have it. I can't really play guitar that well.
Do the thing we just did, like that.
And even though Mike's basement studio is the perfect place for privacy, it does have its drawbacks.
I just need to do it one more time. If I'm hooked up to an amp or if I'm hooked up to any of the speakers, the sound just bounces off the walls and it'll go into the microphone. It's really annoying.
But without this basement, Mike would not be able to express his passion for music.
It's just a good way to relieve whatever you have to do. Coming home from a tough day, I don't know, I like to sing and play instruments, so it's a good way to relieve your stress. If someone says you're bad, don't just let everyone else critique what you want to do, because if they do that, then the music you make is never going to be you.
Reporting from Mike's basement, I'm Megan Henneberry for Mustang Magazine.
Music does play an important part in a lot of NHS students' lives, and some have to work harder at it than others. Recently, I caught up with Connor Marr as he took lessons at a local music school band gig. Connor Marr started at band gig 2 years ago and has been improving ever since.
It never takes two.
because now I'm able to not just listen to music, but be able to like play it by myself and sing, and it's just, I feel really accomplished. With my music, I would love to accomplish making people feel better about themselves, because I love inspiring people and I love listening to songs that inspire me, or like really empowering songs, so I would love my music to do that.
Nick Vecchio from Band Gig is Connor's lessons teacher.
He does have a voice and he can sing. That translates into he naturally has rhythm, he naturally has an ear. So picking up an instrument from that point is just a logical sort of extension.
Nick knows the key to becoming a great musician.
You know what I might suggest doing? I'm thinking me and you might want to change the key.
Yeah.
So we could bring it down a little bit. It's a gift to be able to take, you start to learn music, and then the gift is that you take that and try to keep improving on it.
Connor took it to the next level at the Fusion Club in Foxborough in January. He performed in a huge concert with over 130 other kids. The concert was a fundraiser for Ernie Bach's Music Drives Us Foundation. Connor's cousin Jordan is very proud of Connor's accomplishments.
Well, this is the first time that I've actually seen him perform, but I'm very excited to see what's to come because he did a really good job today.
But you touched me for a little while, and all my fragile strength is gone. It never takes too long.
Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Erin Crowley.
NHS has a lot of musically talented students, but it's not just those who can play music. It's also those who can feel and move to the music.
Dancer Ahmad Karanu shows us the moves and tells us his story.
My name is Ahmad Karanu and I'm a dancer. Well, I pop and lock to dubstep music, and I like to break dance and like do robot stuff. My sister knew how to sing, knew how to dance and all that, so I wanted to try to dance also, and I danced and I liked it. I learned how to dance by standing in front of a mirror and just dancing, by watching some dancing movies, I don't know, and also using YouTube, which taught me a little bit of moves, which was 3 or 4 moves, and I just love dancing now because of that. When I dance, I feel joy, I feel like I'm part of something big, and also I use it as an escape to because when I get into an argument, when I feel sad, when I dance, I feel like it rebuilds me. I feel like it makes me feel happy, makes me feel good.
Well, it looks like that's all we have for this summer look-back edition of Mustang Magazine. To see all of these stories and more, watch us online at NHS-TV.org or hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the fall.
Dissecting erroneous. I'm sorry, I just butchered that. Don't get me laughing because I don't
plenty
stop.
of bloopers.
Okay?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, you need to not breathe.
The world's coming to an end. I'm not recording right now.